Greetings, my customers. Quite a while ago, I was watching the Squid Game. Actually, I watched that quite a long time after it first came out, but I noticed in it there was a scene where someone was eating a fish-shaped, what I thought was a pastry, but it's in a way it's more classed as a type of bread, and it's typically a Korean sort of wintertime snack to warm you up, if you like, and it's made using one of these. So we're going to make, and I probably can't pronounce this right, Bungeoppang. And this is a Bungeoppang pan, if you like. So it's a fish-shaped sort of hot snack, if you like. And if you're going to do it, you need this pan. Okay, it's a bit like a waffle iron, you know, a traditional waffle iron, or I suppose you might say a sandwich toaster. Well, that's what we call them in the UK. But in this case, it's just moulded into a fish shape. And the idea is we're going to make a batter and make these fish in that. However, the secret ingredient on the inside, and to be honest, I had toyed with the idea of doing things like Nutella or something like that, but traditionally it's these sweet red aduki beans. So I've got a can of those. And then all you're going to need is a little bit of sugar, you know, white or brown, plain flour, there's some bicarbonate of soda, a little bit of oil because we need to grease these, and some water, and that's it. So although it's sort of classed as a bread, more like a crispy pancake, I suppose, in a way, and it is called a bungeo, or whatever it is, because that is the term in Korean for this crucian carp. So we're making them carp shaped. So before we get heating this up, let's make our batter. So to this bowl I'm going to add, and I've just realised I haven't quite got a cup in there. I'm trying to be clever. I'm trying to use the edge of the thing, edge of the container, if you like. So in goes that flour, and then we want half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, I've got some fine salt here. In that goes, and we want half a teaspoon of baking soda or sodium bicarbonate, whatever. Okay, in that goes. And so let me get something to stir that up with. Bit big that. Oh, never mind. Now we don't want it lumpy, so what we're going to do is we're going to sieve it. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. 1, 2, and then a cupful. Now, given this is all the ingredients that's going in here, I didn't see the point of converting this to mils. Okay, so it's just easy enough just to use the measurement she gave. It's Munchie, I think her name is. I've done one of her recipes before on this channel, so you can check out her channel if you like. So I'm just going to get this all mixed together. It's quite a runny batter, and I'll try and get some of them lumps out, but like I say, what we're going to do is we're going to sieve it. Now there is actually a little bit of a sort of superstition or whatever associated with how you eat these things, and apparently it can be an indication of your personality. So I'm going to sieve this into a jug simply because it'll make it easier to pour the batter into that mould, because obviously we want to sort of control that so that we don't end up getting it everywhere. So I'm just going to help pass that through there, and then we can get our tin of beans open. Now, these are traditionally served hot. You can sort of have them cold, but most people prefer them hot. And I just realised, of course, I forgot to add my tablespoon of sugar. So I'm just going to chuck that in there and mix that in. Now, the sugar's not going to be lumpy, so I'm not worried. It's the flour more than anything, so I'm not worried about re-sieving that. But I suppose I better add the correct ingredients, better not. So here's these red beans opened, okay. Like I say, you don't have to use them, but traditionally that's what is used. But before we do anything else, we want to heat the pan up. Okay, so I'm going to do this like she suggested on a low heat. Interesting, I hadn't realised that. That's going to be a little bit tricky because it doesn't obviously want to sit on there. But we want to warm up both sides, okay, and then we're going to use some vegetable oil just to grease the inside. Now, according to her, this should make about 6 Bungeoppang. I can't quite get the pronunciation. The way she says it, it's almost like it's Bungeoppang or Bungeoppang or something, but I can't quite get it. Now, I was saying to you that this is a traditional snack, but it could, and it's a street snack, okay? So it's formed 2 words, carp, fish and bread, okay? Because it's fish-shaped bread, if you like. But the way you eat it can deter or tell people about your personality. There's sort of 4 ways you can eat it. You can start by biting off the tail. You can start by biting off the fin. You can start by going for the head. Can't remember what the 4th way is. I'll cover that in a minute. Right, so I'm just heating that over. I'm just going to flip that over for a minute. Okay, I might just flip that back again in the, and do the other side. When you make this, and you'll see when we come to do it, the red bean paste is in the main body part, and that means that the fin and the tail especially will be the crispier bits. So that's why some people like to eat the crispy bits first, because over time it will start going soggy. I mean, you are meant to eat these sort of fresh, hot out the pan if you like, but some people like to go for the crispy bits first. Some people just want to plunge straight in and get to the beans if you like. Right, I'm just going to give it one more flip onto that side. And that's also why really, because of how it will start turning soggy, and the idea is to keep the crispiness, you want to eat these fresh, okay? But something I don't think I'm going to eat all 6, and I'm not sure the wife will eat one either. She'll probably try one, but she can't possibly eat all of that. And she's a bit put off by these things. She's got a thing about baked beans. I know they ain't baked beans, but they're beans. She calls them the same thing. There you go, do it like that. Is just brush. I've gone a little bit overboard there, so I have to try and mop some of that out, I think. You just want to brush the inside. These are non-stick, and typically with a lot of non-stick surfaces, trying to apply some oil, you do find that it doesn't really want to go onto the surface. It's the same when you do some sort of baking pans and things like that. Just try and mop up that excess oil I put on there. it just, you know, it sort of runs off. So we'll have to see how we get on with this. Right. Trying to get this so that I can now. And what we're going to do is we're going to pour in enough till it's just really coming up to the base of the towel. And then I'm going to take about a teaspoon of these beans, just under that. I'll put those into the middle of the body. I suspect I'll have a lot of beans left over. And this is where now what we're going to do is fill up the mould. We're going to make sure it fills into that tail, like covering over the top. This is why you've got to be a bit careful you don't go, whoops, whoops, too much to begin with. Otherwise you can't really cover your beans, like I'm not really going to be able to there. And now we put the lid down and we're going to cook that for about 3 minutes. Now, if it's need be, we will be flipping it again. Okay, but what we want to do at the moment on this low heat, and she stresses keep it low, you're tempted to turn it up, but all you do is you'll burn it. So, oh, can you hear that? It's like sizzling or something in there. Did I start the timer? Yeah, I did. So, if you eat the head first, if you go straight for the head, you're considered an easygoing optimist. You're not worried about trivial things, you just want to get in there. You're the type of person who'll say whatever comes to mind, passionate, although that passion can dwindle off early. So that's if you're a head first eater. I was just trying to decide then whether I saw smoke then, but I'm not sure. I might turn that down a fraction more. So what about if you go for the tail? So remember, that's the crispy bit. If you eat the tail first, you're considered quite a cautious person. You're a romanticist, concerned with the smallest of things, but you're a little bit slow catching on to other people's feelings. So that's a tail eater. Now, if you go for the stomach first, so the bottom of the fish, where the fin's on the top, if you go for the stomach, you're a masculine, active, bright and outgoing person. Don't know where they get these ideas from. Okay, now what about if you go for the fins? You go for the fins on top, you're temperamental and childish and a loner. Now, some people, rather than eat it with your hands, which is what you're meant to do, some people decide to cut it in half, eat the tail first, and they generally are the polite people. They're good to saving money. I don't know how that comes from that, but there you go. And you're quite a rationalist. If on the other hand you cut it in half and eat the head first, head first, you're quite a strong-willed person who follows through a plan once you've decided what that plan is. You are quite stingy though, and you don't like giving out money, lending money. So there you go. That's the sort of culture, if you like, of eating it. Right, so I've turned it. That other side has had 3 minutes, and if we look, that first side isn't quite there yet. So I'm just going to flip that back, and we're now going to put that timer on again for another 3 minutes. But let's have a look how's that side's doing. Okay, possibly won't want 3 minutes on each side, so we'll keep an eye on it. And like I suspected, because obviously when I topped it up, some of the beans were showing through, so they're showing through on that side at the moment. So I think when we make our next batch, I'll possibly try to avoid putting too much in the first time. So it's just a matter of keeping my eye on those. We don't want them burning. Okay, and then we'll turn them out. We'll let them cool briefly because that bean mixture will be rather hot, and then we'll obviously taste them. But like I say, we should, according to old Munchie, get about 6 out of this. Actually, an aside, while that's still finishing cooking, I'm not actually sure these are the correct things. And the trouble is, it's very difficult because it's meant to be like a sweet fermented red bean. And when you look it up, it says it is the aduki bean. And then trying to actually find cans of these fermented beans was really difficult. But it did suggest, everything I read, that this is what I needed. But I'm reading ingredients on here now, and it's just the beans in water. And I've had a little taste, and they certainly ain't sweet. So I'm not quite sure they're right, but they are meant to be aduki beans, but these sweet red beans, which wait, don't you dare make a mess with the wheel. I had enough fuss on here earlier when knocked a whole pint of water over. I wasn't filming at the time, but first thing this morning I was giving blood, having a blood test, and previously I've discovered she couldn't get any blood out, and she moaning about it, and I said, well, I've had 2 cups of coffee this morning. She said, well, there's your solution. Don't drink bloody coffee before you're about to go and have a blood test. She said, because it dehydrates you so much. That's why I'm having a job of getting it out. Drink plenty of water, at least a litre of water. So I'd had a couple of glasses of water. I've got a pint left to have, making the wife coffee. Bloody pint glass, went over, smashed, pint of water everywhere. Still give me bench a bit of a clean down. That's not the point now. So the last thing I want now is bloody oil everywhere. So we're almost there now. So they look like they're done. So let's attempt to turn these buggers out. Although, actually no, I'm going to say, wait, feeling that. Seems a bit soft. Perhaps, I don't know whether it's because this non-stick coating, because the oil, it's not really crispened up the outside, if you like. Perhaps what I'm going to do, turn that heat up just a fraction, and I'm just going to give it a little bit longer. Okay, it felt a little bit soft. Let's give this a go. So like I say, they do strike me as a little bit soft. Perhaps they'll crispen up as they cool. There you go. So that's the first 2 out. Like I say, I'm not going to try eating them just yet. So I'm just going to lightly oil the inside again. And once again, what we're going to do is we're just going to add some of that batter. This time I'm not going to fill it quite as much as I did before. Just going to go up to the bottom of the fin rather than the bottom of the tail this time. And then we'll add in that bean mixture in the middle. Like I say, just about a teaspoonful. And then we want to pour more over so it just fills the rest of that mould. Not really covering these beans that well because it tends to spread out. Whoops, I was a bit overboard with that one. Was perhaps a little bit fuller than last time. So down that goes. Time on for 3 minutes. Actually, what I've noticed is they're going to get soggy if you're not careful laying them down in that heat. But they still feel quite hot, so we're just going to reserve tasting for a few more minutes. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit off the fin because that's just fin. It is very reminiscent of pancakes. When I say pancakes, I'm referring to the pancakes, you know, the kind of ones we make in England on Shrove Tuesday. It's bloody hot, but let's go for the middle bit. Didn't quite get any beans on that. You can see I'm almost there. I would have said the saltiness comes through rather than the sugar. Even though we added quite a bit more sugar than we did salt, it is a little bit of a salty snack. I don't know if that's deliberate or not. I don't think it is. I did get some bean in that, but to be honest, can't say it actually tastes of anything. Just do time to do my first flip on the next one. Whether it's because they're not the sweet red beans that apparently they're meant to be, or whether perhaps that is what it's meant to be. I wouldn't say it's overly sweet when you get to the centre. It is hot. It's tasty. Like I say, I don't know whether perhaps next time leave the salt out, because it is a bit on the salty side. But there you go, your Bungeoppang, your Korean fish-shaped bread snacks, street snacks. And you don't, so I have to count, right?